All right, I think we are live now. And we've got Dolly also entered. All right, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in for another session of the weekly career class. Today's session is a continuation of the overseas weekly career class session that we conducted almost a month ago. Uh, the last session was an overview of the entire overseas system. Today's is a little more focused on a certain geography, which is for US and Canada and North America. So we have two of our senior counselors and mentors here conducting the session today. Uh, we have with us Shilpa ma'am, who has almost 20 years of experience in the career counseling domain and is an expert on overseas education systems. So is Parmita, who is also here with more than 12 or I think now 13 or 14 years of experience in this space. Thank you very much for taking out the time to do this. So today's session, we will have both the speakers talking about the overseas system in US and Canada, and you can share your questions with us on chat or on, if there is anyone who's joined in on Zoom directly also. We will relay those questions to the speakers during the Q&A segment. So again, thank you, Parmita and Shilpa ma'am. Over to you.
Thanks, Thomas. Thank you so much. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, you can do the honors.
All right. So yes, thanks, Thomas. It's good to be here. As Thomas has said, this is a continuation of what we had done last month, which was the general presentation on guidance on overseas education. This one will be more pertaining to US, Canada, and North America, so that you have an idea of what are the changes that are happening, what are the things that you need to do when you're applying, the factors that you have to keep in consideration, how is the admissions going to be. So there have been a lot of changes, as many of you do know, because of the COVID situation. And we want to touch upon that as well. What are the changes that are happening? Because there have been a lot of differences in the intake, because many students can't take the SATs and the ACT examinations. So what has happened to these requirements that were needed by the university? What are students doing today, right? We want to touch upon whether the defer mode is a good thing. We want to touch upon, because these are questions that students are asking, right? Whether a gap year is a right thing to do, and if yes, then why, or if not, why? When you see the changes that are there, you will see that last year, I believe, for the US and Canada, there was maximum number of applications that were taken place, because of the fact that one of the reasons being because the SATs and the ACTs examinations were either cancelled, or most of the universities made it optional, optional, test optional, or test blind, whichever. And therefore there are more students had put in the applications. Okay, so it was like a ripple effect, because test centers were closed, therefore students couldn't take the test, and because they couldn't take the test, admissions became easier that way, because those who were looking at the fact that tests may be slightly difficult who applied to better universities thinking that they had a better chance, right? So applications soared, and because applications soared, there were many, the acceptance rates obviously went down because there were too many applications, right? You have, your Ivy Leagues, which Parmita will go into, like Howard, where they had 40,000 applications the year before, and this year they had 57,000. So, I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of applications that went through. And so we need to understand, because of that, because, many universities, say from 900 universities that were test optional, another 1,000 were added because of this COVID, because students just couldn't take it. So we want to touch upon that, and as we go ahead, we will answer your questions and your queries. But as we go along, we will take all of these questions into account and all the differences that are there. But I would like to, ask Parmita to carry on now with the presentation of, how students can apply to the US and Canada. Thanks, Parmita.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And we would love to take questions from students, whoever are viewing through the YouTube channel. I'm not sure as to what are the numbers there. But yes, I'll take you through the general process and why US and why Canada, if you're looking at, and what would be, some of the things that you might plan in terms of the timeline or, the requirements. So US has always been the most sought after destination for many students all across the world. Not because just about the country as such, but yes, it does provide a global education. So education institutes are they do provide you with a great variety of courses to look for. A lot of flexibility is there. So yes, US still remains to be the most sought after destination for most students looking for an overseas education. You can see the map here. So yeah, 50 states, and the cost of living or the place where you choose to stay and study may greatly affect your financial planning as well. So when you're looking at the northeastern part, this might be slightly expensive, but you have, a few giants here, like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Universities in North Carolina, South Carolina also have a lot of good programs. Mississippi, on the other hand, is doing quite well. Texas is, the map looks like a mini India kind of. Yeah. So, and a lot of Indians you'll find in this area. California, very popular for computer science related programs, and we have the UCs there. Very close to California are places like Oregon, Washington, Arizona. So people can look at these areas as well. The mid-central of US is comparatively easier to, in terms of the cost of living there, like Idaho, Utah, Colorado, quite comfortable places in terms of the finances and the cost of living and all. So you might look at that. So when you're doing your financial planning, this might be a little expensive. The West Coast might be a little expensive. So you might just look at the central area as well. So whenever you're planning for an overseas education, the first thing that is very, very important for us to know the culture, to know the place, to know the weather, because these are everything that would supplement you or complement you, when you're doing your studies there. So yes, the very first thing that I did while I was doing my research on US was to know the 50 states, the two letter, the abbreviation for the states, the capital, and all of that. So it will be a good idea to know that. Just to tell you, the entire US is divided into 6 zones, and you have time zones, and you have 6 regional accreditation zones also. So depending on where you are studying, your university would have a regional accreditation from that. So when you just divide it, I would just say, put a line here, put a line there, and one across the center. So that's the 6th zone for US. Right? It provides a lot of opportunities. One is you don't have anything like a quota or reservations that we have in universities here in India. US does not really have anything of that sort. So each one has an equal chance to get in, right? The degrees are of international repute. There are a lot of universities where you will see a great deal of diversity and inclusion. You are like you have some challenges physically, mentally, whatever. There is a college for you. All right. So US universities are very flexible with that. Not only that, they also have a flexible academic environment. The classroom experience is really wonderful. So there are a lot of classroom experience at the same time, a lot of out of the class experience as well. When we talk of technology, research, advancement, few of the universities are very, very rich with the research funding. So yes, and almost, most of the universities would have very good technology to support the student. So that's there. A lot of universities do provide something called financial support, financial aid for international students also. But you might have to be a little mindful. Not all universities have international financial aid. But most of them do, and these universities are quite generous with their financial aid, sometimes ranging from 15,000 US dollars, to somewhat, up to 50 to 6, 50,000 US dollars as financial aid. I remember a student who also made it up to 96,000 US dollars as a financial aid given to the student for the 4 year of study. And this financial aid support are generally done for international students during your first year, right? And which extends provided you maintain your grades and all towards the entire 4 years of your study. Plus, US has this opportunity of work and study. So yes, there are a few options. I will be discussing few of them as we go, ahead with the employment opportunity after studying. There are also few which you can work within your, when you have completed 1 year of your academics and you would like to get some experience of work. No, even that are possible. So we will deal into all of those. So because of these advantages, US is a very famous, or very popular destination among all international students across the world. Like all universities, US universities would look at not just your academic score. They would look at the overall or the holistic, percentage, right? So they would look at your performances in your class. So, in terms of your reports, your percentage, what are your CGP. They would also look at what is the course curriculum that you have gone through. So they do recognize CBSE, they recognize IB, Cambridge, right? So they would also look at the rigor of the curriculum that you have gone through. Though there are a lot of universities which have kept the SAT and ACT as optional for international students because of the pandemic. But few universities will still look at it. So if you are not planning to go by September 2022 and you are currently in your 12th class or 11th class, it will be a good idea to take the SAT. So SAT is happening this 28th of August. The registrations are closed now, but there are 2 dates available for this year also. So one would be 2nd of October, the other would be 4th of December. So you may still, like to go ahead and take the SAT, right? If you're really planning to go for, US or Canada, right? Participation in school, in clubs, in sports, and community work, and all of that would be looked at very closely. You might have heard, there are a lot of applications that are happening. Shilpa ma'am just briefed you on that. So if I have to find out, if I'm an admission officer and I need to pick up that one student, from that pool of international students, it would not only just be the academics or the scores. So herein your writing pieces, your participation, your the participation in sports and community services, what extra you have done would be looked at very, very closely, right? So you can show what kind of a person you are through the writing pieces that most of the universities would ask for. You have something like a common app that, there are a few essay prompts you can choose out of those. But in most likelihood, there would be, universities who would give them, would ask you to write their own essays. So yeah, this is an amazing opportunity for you to put forth, what you are like and what you aspire to be, in terms of this letter, references, and your essays. Many universities are even going for interview these days. Some universities are also asking you to, upload a 1 minute video introducing yourself, right? So those things are happening. There are a few changes happening because of the entire thing being online. So till last year, we had, seen the I-20 arriving, it comes in the hard copy. So this year, even the I-20s are being sent, it's online. Even the consulate are accepting the, online printed copies of. So yes, there are certain changes happening, and it's happening for the good, I would say. Right. So this is the basic process which I told even in the last session. If you were there with us during the last session, you might have seen this. So this basic 5-step process is applicable for all universities, all countries, right? So yes, we have just seen US is a vast country, so you need to do your research to find out your options. If you need help with that, I'm there, Shilpa ma'am is there. We can take you through this entire overseas guidance program and help you research your options, which would be your best fit university among the lot of 4,700. So US actually has 4,700 universities, right? So a lot of research would go to find out which would be those 10 or 8 universities that you apply to. All right. Second, very important step is understanding the finances. So it is not only just the tuitions. So you should also have a good, planning for your cost of living as well. So total, it is the cost of attendance you need to plan. If there are certain ways you can look for scholarships, you can look for financial aid. So you have to start off with your financial applications as well. So for US, the Common App has started on first of, it opened up on 1st of August. The financial application opens in the month of October. Yeah, so this would be for intake August 2022. So for August 2022 intake, the Common App application has started, and it has opened from 1st of August this year. So you need to plan ahead, right? So you might have registered in the Common App, and you will be filling up your Common App according to the colleges that you have selected and all of that. And if you're looking for financial aid or support, you would wait till the next month, October, where your even your financial applications will open up. So we will be here to help you with that as well, right? Application process would involve in filling up the applications for the universities. Most of the universities, around 800 universities, accepts the Common App. There would be certain universities where they would like you to fill up their own application process. So when it is applying to, say, the state universities of California, right? In that case, you might have to apply through one application form called CalState Apply. So for Texas, if you're looking at applying to public universities in Texas, there's something called Apply Texas, right? So there's one application form. You can apply to a number of universities through one form. Similarly, for the universities of California, so we have 9 universities of California, out of which 8 universities have undergrad programs as well. So if you're applying to any of these UCs, you can apply through just one application form. So till last year, out of the 8, if you're applying for an undergrad, if you have applied to 3, the 4th application, they give you a application fee waiver. So each application is $70. So yes, you need to put in which are the universities that you are applying, and along with the universities in the application process, it is your essays that will go, your letters of references from your counselors, from your teachers. All of those goes into it. We do help students know entirely the entire process and handhold the students for all of these steps and processes. So once your application is done, once you have completed your application process, added all the requirements that are there, you send off your application by, say, before the deadline, of course. So there are different ways you can apply. Deadlines are different for different countries. In US, you have admission deadlines in terms of early decision, early action, single choice early action. There are also regular decisions. Most of the colleges I have seen this year, they have moved on to something like rolling admissions also. So you can, send in your applications and they will pick it up as and when, they are, they have, they're ready for that cycle, right? But UCs have very stringent deadlines. If you're looking at the, University of California, their deadline is somewhere end of November. Right. Most of the universities would have, deadline by 15th of December or so. Some deadlines are also extended till 15th January, 31st January. You might just get few universities even till February, but it is our advice not to wait till then because your board exams would be clashing, right? So it is better, the sooner you apply, the better it is. So once you apply, you just relax, be patient, and focus on what you're doing back home in India. Focus on your studies and boards here. So by April is the time undergrad students starts getting their acceptance for the fall intake. So that is for August 2022, you will start getting the acceptance by April, and then you need to fulfill the formalities the university had asked you to do. June, July months are the visa months, right? So you would have to apply for your visa, get all your documents ready, and by July end or August beginning, that's the time you fly. All right, so that is the entire process. If you have to look at the timeline for the undergrad student, it's best to start when you're in the 11th class. And for the postgrad student who are looking for applying for masters in the US, the right time to start would be somewhere in the second year of the college. But we say it's never too early to start. So the entire process takes around 12 to 18 months. So there's this timeline given. So generally you would be starting, deciding to go, say it's 6 months, you would be deciding, planning your finances and looking into your credentials and all of that, right? So January, your planning starts. Then April to July would be the time, where your scores are there and you would be looking for attending educational fairs. See, in these days, a lot of virtual educational fairs have been, conducted in different cities, right, by different countries. So yes, August and October, this is the time you would put your application pieces together. Apply to extra colleges if need be. December, you would get, if you're applying for early decision, that's only one application you can make through early decision. So if you're doing it, you would be getting your results by then. Even for early action, you would be getting your results. So if it is acceptance, wow, it's time to celebrate. In case it's a negative, or denial, you can still go ahead and complete for your regular applications till December or January. And that's what I told you. April, you will have to, you'll be getting your acceptance and you'll have to go for your visa process and all. And by July or August or September, whenever your college starts, you cannot enter the country 30 days before your college start date. So do remember that. You will have to make your arrangement, pack your bags, and then fly away, right? So that's it for the process and timeline. These are the Ivy Leagues. Most of the students who come to us, they do say, I want to make it to the Ivy League. Yes, of course, it's not, you can, but you should also remember all the Ivy Leagues, they are basically situated in the eastern area, northeast area of, US, and they are very, very competitive, very selective. So yes, if you are that 17-year-old, who can make it to these universities, please go ahead and, put your application pieces together. So just for fun, I have, just to give you a little idea, I have mentioned the Ivy Leagues here. So it's not into ranking or anything. I have just kept it in the alphabetical order. So that's how I used to remember. So you have Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, Harvard, Princeton, UPenn, and Yale. Right? Can anyone tell me when was Harvard established? So you can see most of these universities are hundreds of years old, right? Anyone who can say when was Harvard established? Yeah. Find it out. All right. So one clue, that is the oldest of the Ivy Leagues. Okay, so it was basically called Ivy League. Just for your general knowledge, ivy is a plant that grows, on old buildings. So since they are such ancient buildings, you had the ivy cover on most of the buildings. And during that time, this 8 schools used to compete for sports. So they had a league. So that's the reason these 8 schools are called as the Ivy League. All right, so that's a bit of a history, right? When we look at the education system of US, you have different different types of universities there. The very common universities you would find are the public universities and the private universities. You would find a lot of liberal arts colleges. Apart from that, you have technical and vocational colleges for engineering or flying courses, this kind of courses. And there are a lot of colleges which are called community colleges. A few community colleges are very, very large, but some of them are small. And community colleges offer you a 2-year associate degree. Unlike all the other universities, the undergrad program is a 4-year degree. Community colleges do have something like a 2-year degree program. When you look at the cost, the private universities would be slightly towards the expensive side. But yes, the private universities are also very, very generous with their financial aid. There is no discrimination made in terms of, whether you're an international student or you're, someone from America, an American citizen. The fee for the private university is same for everyone. But each gets your own share. So if you are someone who is very brilliant and you are looking for some kind of scholarship, this private universities would give you that kind of scholarship. Or if you're looking for financial aid, you would find in statistics most of the private universities, they claim to give 100% support in terms of financial aid. So yes, that is there. For public universities, again, the only difference between them would be, some public universities might be slightly less competitive because students who are, the resident of that state. Suppose I'm talking about Texas. So, people who are staying there and they are paying the taxes, they are paying for their tax, so they would get something called as the in-state tuition fee, right? So you are a US citizen and you're staying in that particular state, so you get some benefit called as an in-state benefit. Any student from outside that state would have to pay something called as the out-of-state tuition fee, which in most likelihood it was into 3 or into 4 sometimes, right? So it is a little more than the in-state. But there are provisions where international students, based on their merit, or if they have some scholarship with them, or if they have earned something even in the home state, like we have certain provisions like the National Talent Scheme and all of that. So if you are if you have been awarded certain scholarship in your home state, you can apply to this public university maybe in the first year of your study or second year of your study, and you do get something called as the in-state tuition benefit. So public university and private university, these are the differences. The other colleges, very popularly known as liberal arts colleges, would give you the liberty to study and explore different subjects and major in one or keep minor in the other. So this is a concept liberal arts studies has. It's basically a concept where you can experiment with a huge number of subjects and then decide as to what you're going to major in, right? So students who are medical aspirant or even engineering aspirant, or someone wants to go for law, all of them basically looks at the liberal arts colleges, right? Community colleges, if you're looking at, you can go for something as a 2x2 or 2+2 system. So most of the community college would have something called as the articulation agreement, which they have with big public and private universities in the state or even maybe across states. So you can go for a transfer. So 2 years you do it in a community college, and rest 2 years you do it from a bigger college. So sometimes a community college, the fee can be very, very less. So if it is for a normal college, it is say 30K. In community college, it would be somewhere between 9K to, say 11 to 12K per annum. So a student ends up saving around 40 to 50K, if they go for a 2+2 system. But please reach out to your advisors in case you're looking for something like that. All right. The major intakes that are there for US would be the fall intake, where elaborate orientation happens for all students, including international students. The January intake is there, which is called as the spring intake. This would be good for students who are going for their PhD or for the masters. We, however, do not suggest that the undergrad student should take up the spring intake because the orientation for few colleges may not happen. And even if it happens, it would be a very short, very small kind of orientation. So for an undergrad student, it is not advisable. Right. There is for some universities, they do have something like a summer intake, which starts somewhere around May. You might be, you might not go for that because there would be a lot of limitation in terms of the programs that you look for, the colleges that you are looking for. So yes, the most popular intake is the fall intake. But for those PG students who missed on the fall intake due to some reasons, they may, defer their admissions till spring and then, go ahead for spring, right? As far as the work opportunities goes in the US, you have two types of work opportunity. One is called as a CPT, curricular practical training, and the other is called as a OPT, optional practical training. CPT can be done once you are, done with 1 year of your academics. So this is the reason we say that students should go by, during the fall. So if you start your classes by August or September 2022, or if you're going this year, so one of our friends, a few students are going this year also. So they would be finishing their first semester by December this year, and they would be finishing their second semester, which would be 1 academic year, by May next year. So May, June, July, these are the summer months. So during the summer months, you will be completing 1 academic year and you will be eligible to take your CPT, right? So that is around 2.5 months of work that you can do, 40 hours outside the campus as well. And the other is called, and in CPT, please remember, CPT is something which has to be course-based. So whatever you have learned, you work on that, right? OPT is basically, after you have completed your program. So you might have done your undergrad in, computer science. So you can work in any field related to computer science after you're done with your academics for 1 year. So if your studies were in the area of STEM, like if it was, you have done your undergrad from science, engineering, technology, or math, if your subjects qualify for STEM, then you have an option to go for an OPT extension. So OPT extension is for another 24 months. So yes, with the OPT and plus OPT extension, you get to stay back in the country and work for 3 years after your studies are over. So most of the students look forward to this. And in this, if you're really working well and your employer is amazingly happy with what you are doing and they really don't want you to go away, they might just sponsor your H1, and that's what you can stay back and work, right? So that is the beauty of US and US studies, right? Canada is again gaining a lot of popularity, proximity to the US, and also very welcoming for international students. It might get a little colder, right? But if you're okay with it, if you love the snowfalls, Canada might be just a country that you're looking for. And also, Canada is one country which would accept, they understand the IB board very, very well. So if you are an IB student, this might be your, location, preferred location. So most of the universities in Canada are public universities. They have a very liberal visa policy, right? They have, again, like the US, they also have 3 main intakes. The main intake, or the September intake, is a main intake where most of the undergrad students would be looking forward to. Again, like US, there would be the winter intake. So here there is a slight difference. In US, we saw fall was August, September, and your spring was January intake, and summer was May intake. The weather in Canada is slightly different, so the nomenclature is also slightly different. So here you have something called as a fall intake, which is in September, the major intake. The other intake is called winter intake, that's in January, and the spring intake happens in May. It's a very small window for May. Yes, September and January are comparatively major intakes, right? But again, anyway, September is something that we all advise that you should be going for the major intake, because you would have, lots of fresh students going from, different countries, and you would have that wonderful classroom experience that you're looking forward to, along with the orientations that the universities do. So you should not miss on that orientation. Some universities have wonderful orientation programs, right? So for Canada, there are certain, as I told you, they're very welcoming for international students. So students from India can also go like as this student direct stream. This is basically the visa process. So if you have made it to a university in Canada, so you can go for a faster visa process through SDS. Right. Again, like in US also, here international students do work for 20 hours per week. That is a work permission given to you during your semesters, and during your breaks, you can work up to 30 hours, per week. And more so, you can work in campus, and you can, you need not need separate work permit to do that. Sometimes, you might require a work permit if you're looking for a full-time employment outside the campus. And these are, for Canada, it's easily done. There are certain the rules, like you might have to complete 1 year of your academics and then, apply for a full-time work permit as well. So that's how Canada is more welcoming for international student, and also for immigration purpose. I'm sure you all know that it's a country that people look upon, right? But for you, I would say you are first going there as a student. So your main intention to be, should be to study. So you should be very mindful to the program that you're applying for, to the course that you're looking for, and what would be your intake, or how would you upskill yourself, or what would be your benefit in studying in that particular school. Right. So during the pandemic, certain schools have changed, the way they were working post the pandemic. Many schools have introduced, you can go for something like a transfer thing. So if you did not get time to, sit for your entrance, a lot of that, or the standardized test, you need not take a gap year. You might have taken an admission somewhere, so you can look for something like applying as a transfer student. US is very popular. They do accept international transfer students as well. Some universities have also gone for something like deferred admission. So if you have gotten admission, say August this year, but due to the visa process, or due to the things not happening on time, you might not be able to go and attend class. So you might just have to tell your university that you would like to defer your admission for the next year, and tell them what are you going to do during this deferral period. All right, so you have to assure them that I'm coming to you, but I would like to defer it because of so and so reasons. So there might there are a lot of incidents where students have lost their near and dear ones, and they would not like to leave their family, but they gotten into a college. So based on that ground, you can say that I would need to stay with my family, but I would definitely look forward to coming next year. Right? Some universities have started off something like hybrid classes. So till the time your visa is done or your process is on, you would be taking online classes. And once the university is ready to call you, invite you in person, they would be, calling you. So you would be attending, your classes offline, right? Even for those students who are in the US, they have made certain days where, few days of the week you would do online classes and few days you would come to the campus. So those things have been, are in place. And many schools have adopted to a very, very wonderful platform of virtual learning. So they have set up virtual labs, virtual, the ways to interact with, students. So this is something which they have done in, where we can see that, the technological advantage that does make, some difference. So yes, there are a lot of universities which are going even for like a virtual lab, where you can sit in the comfort of your home. By the time you can go to the college, you can, use the lab facility from your home. So those are few adjustment few universities have done. Even also, in terms of scholarship, this year, US have started off with a scholarship called, You Are Welcome Here scholarship. So around 57 universities are participating in this, and you get, a scholarship somewhere ranging from 15, thousand US dollars per year as a scholarship to study in this participating universities. So you may go for something like that. There is also a scholarship announced by many universities called as upper class scholarship. So if you go there, study for 2 years, and you have really proved yourself well, your GPAs have been maintained, you can apply for something called as an upper class scholarship, which is applicable for your junior year and senior year. So you might just have to plan your financials for your freshman and sophomore. You can apply to this upper class scholarship once once you're in college. So those are a few things. And as far as our overseas guidance program goes, we are very, very student centric. So we, we advise completely in an unbiased manner. So we do not look at which universities will pick you. Rather, we look at you would be good for which universities. So that's how we build your profile. We provide a lot of information to clear misconceptions and doubts that are there, and we help you find which would be those best fit universities for you. So if you require any other help and assistance to guide you or handle you towards this entire overseas journey, Shilpa ma'am and I will be there with you. So we basically divide it into different phases. So we have the first phase where we help build the student profile. We identify needs, where we can hone the skill of the student. And again, with the shortlisting of universities, courses, entire application process, the essays, LORs, all of those review we do, and help you take on the journey. So this is code. If you have your phone with you, you can scan it. It'll take you to our website. Right. So these are the various programs that we have from iDream Career. So we have the Explore program, Inform program, the Pathfinder, Overseas Guidance. We do have something called as a Young Entrepreneurship program going on. So this is basically a skill-based program. So we would love to hear from you more. And do keep watching the series that we have for overseas being planned for you. It'll be there live on YouTube. So do stay tuned. Next few weeks, we are planning to take up UK, Europe. We are planning to take up Australia, New Zealand. Yes, so do stay tuned. And I'm open for question answers now. If there are any questions from YouTube, so Shilpa ma'am and I would love to, take those up.
I don't see any questions from the audience. If they have any queries, to let us know in chat. And I think meanwhile, Shilpa ma'am was answering Jay's question, so I don't think we left him.
No, he's still asking questions.
All right.
So I'm busy answering them. He's basically looking at, what is asking questions about how to get into, Canada, or what are the things that you need for scholarships, whether it is just the 10th and 12th, or what is it, and for medical, how do you go in for it? So I've been answering those questions, trying to tell him that it's a whole profile when you're looking at scholarships, right? It's just not your 10th and 12th. You need to have good scores for your SATs, or depending on the country and whichever program you're looking for. Looking at the cost, what will the cost as well. So we was looking for Canada. So I was saying that you can't really put a ballpark point on to how much the tuition fees could be, but it could range from about 20 to 30,000 Canadian dollars per year for the undergraduate program. So the question he's asking now is, what is the difference between Indian education and abroad? So I think so maybe if he's listening, Parmita, you can take that if you like. I've been answering their questions.
I think this is what attracts students a lot. So I have been teaching students here, and we are advising students even abroad. The way you look at life, that's something. It's more your life building, I would say, is an experience where you will not be there in the comfort of your home. Mama is not there packing parathas for you. All right, so you need to take care of your own. At the same time, you need to take care of your academics. So I have already mentioned few advantages. Lots would be in terms of practical learning. I'm not saying that our Indian education is bad in any way. All right, we have an amazing and a very strong education system. We just have a small problem. That small problem is a problem of numbers, right? So we are huge in terms of good people around, and with the Delhi University, Mumbai University applications are out. You see how crazy the admission process can be, with cutoffs like 99, 99.5. So and the top universities have a very limited number of seats. Right. So if you are well planned abroad, as I told you, US has 4,700 universities. They do not have so many students graduating every year. Each university, they would have their own peer group. So the terms of in terms of facilities and all, they would all be monitored. And so it will be good for you to even look for a university which is properly accredited. We do help you do that research. Right. Flexibility is there. So if you're really not sure, are you, you're going to be a doctor, would you really go for MBBS? So if you're looking for US, you can take up, 4 years of studies in pre-med or bio-related subject and decide, should I go for and become a MD? Or, is there something else that you would like to go for? So yes, you can experiment even in a later stage, right? So that is there. And what if you want to do something with biology and also do something with yoga? Right? Maybe an Indian university would not give you a yoga class or 2 credits to earn along with your MBBS, but in US, you do get that. Right. So yes, a lot of flexibility. I think I have answered your question, Jay. It would be lovely if you can speak to us. You're there in Zoom. You can just unmute and clear your doubts with us. We would be really happy to answer you.
Okay, I think Jay
is left, I think.
Oh, he has left. I don't know whether he listened to us or not.
He was here a minute ago. I just answered. Wonderful, very useful input shared by both of us. Okay, so that's good. He's just left. Okay.
So anyway, I think we have no more questions. Thank you very much for taking out the time to do this again, Parmita and Shilpa ma'am.
Thank you. Pleasure is
enjoying it.
Orientation link as well. In case there is any parent or any child who wants to understand the overseas education system and wants to first go through an orientation with either Parmita or Shilpa ma'am, you can fill up the form and we will get back to you and schedule probably a session to understand what the overseas guidance program is. In case you want to reach out to us as well, you can drop in an email at support@idreamcareer.com or visit idreamcareer.com's website. We would have one of our advisors reaching out to you, and then we can probably schedule a counseling session as well. So you have the contact details on your screen, and we probably would have the next overseas session, if I'm not wrong, Parmita and Shilpa ma'am, I think it should be on the 18th of September.
Yes. Yes.
And we are looking at Europe and UK at that point.
Yes.
So I would request all of you to join in. And next Saturday, we are doing another weekly career class on careers or options after class 10. So if you're looking at certain subjects or you're deciding between certain subjects, uh, or if you're ninth grader or just a new 10th grader right now, you can tune in, and we would do the session probably at 4 o'clock next Saturday uh, to understand what are the options after 10th, what kind of subject combinations are required for different options. We would be sending out the meeting link via email as well for all our partner students. If you do have access to YouTube regularly, then I would suggest you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'd get an update automatically on all the new webinars that we've been conducting. So thank you once again, and have a nice weekend, everyone. And stay
Thank
safe.
you. Bye. All the best.
Thank you, Parmita. Thank you, Shilpa ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks, Thomas.
Bye.
Again, B, see you.
See you.